part 2, the case prep and motherboard prep and all that kind of stuff. So here we've got the MSI board with the core components installed. We have the full 64 gigabytes of 3200 DDR4 in there. We've got the 6950X Extreme Edition Intel chip installed, and we've got the EK water block installed on there with the fittings tightened up, and this will sit like this for a little while as I finish the case. You can see the absolute mess coming off the back of the EVGA 1600 titanium blah 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 power supply. Here, look at the size of this thing. This is full modular, so I've got the cables plugged in. It's ready to get routed once all the rest of this stuff goes in. DG87 is the case, and then inside here, there's the power supply, and you can see this is the radiator for the CPU, and that's going to sit just above the CPU. This is where the motherboard goes right here. You've got these the PCI expansion slots on the case, and there's actually a whole nother compartment right here, which is where the cabling comes out. So this is where the PCI Express and everything else comes out, and we're going to route it outside. There's actually an HDMI pass-through right here if you want to do VR. I don't know if I can get a good focus on that. Maybe not. Alright, whatever. And this also has active cooling. You've got 240 millimeter fans right there that are going to suck all that stuff out. Look at the prongs on that sucker. I think it's pretty badass. And then the pass-through that comes out, it's hard to see with the mirror finish here. Pass-through comes out right there. So, and then in the front of the, well, it's actually the side of the case, and I had to wash this radiator so you can actually see there's still a little bit of water on there from the manufacturing, but I'll let that dry out over time. So here's the big 420 radiator, or 3 times 140, whatever, radiator that is sitting in the front with the barb fittings at the bottom there. This will do the GPU cooling right here, both of them. More than enough to handle that, and this thing is nice and slim. But the fin density, you can see, is really high, so we're going to put some nice fans on it. Or sorry, got nice fans on there. Boom. This will really do a good job keeping the GPUs very low temperatures with those water blocks on there. And isolating that from the CPU loop will help temperatures, remain really stable. So, even if you're loading both of them really high, separate cooling loops just is the way to go. Not that one radiator couldn't handle all of it, but, for ultimate silence, the more surface area, the better. You can run the fans much lower, which this will all be plugged into a fan controller, and will probably run it close to idle all the time. So we're going to have 2 M.2 drives. One's going to go directly into this slot, which will be the Samsung 960 EVO. And then in the PCI Express slot down here is going to go the 960 Pro 2 terabyte. I guess I should move that out of there. And then the 2 Titans, which are probably here and here, although I need to look at the actual schematic and see exactly where those are going to go. But the M.2 might go in between, or it might go just below. We'll see. With the water blocks, they essentially turn into single slot cards, even though they'll still take up 2 slots back here. So we'll kind of have to see how all that goes. So that's a quick update on the Compensator build, and I am really looking forward to getting my brackets for the, and I'll show you. Well, walk with me. These are the reservoirs. These are glass. These are really nice. And we're in the process of making some brackets. This actually goes on the back of this, like this, and then they're both going to be staggered together. So these reservoirs are going to be very close together. It's really hard to kind of show you. You'll see in the end when the product's finished, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to have 2 separate drain loops, 2 separate fill points, and it lets you work on the system. If you need to change out video cards, you don't have to dump the CPU loop. So that's really cool. So, but the quality of the glass, really nice on these. So, if you have any questions about parts in the list, like that power supply, check out the previous video, and I'll see you next time.